Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War Web of Lies event in which the Mechweaver is added to the game. Also, thank you everyone for 6 years of support on these weekly videos. It has officially been 6 years now that we've been covering these Monday videos, or I should say weekly videos, because they're not always uploaded in the most timely of manners, but thank everyone for 6 years of this, and of course we'll continue doing it for as long as the game is around. Anyway, so as far as the event this week, we got a Vault event this weekend, so that's pretty cool. Aside from that, only other thing we have going on is Guild Wars, kind of, because there's a bit of a glitch with it on consoles, which I will not be going over here. However, if it is working on your platform of play, which it should be on PC Mobile, then we have Guild Wars this week. Anyways, as far as the troop, of course, we've been getting a lot of mechs this season. It comes in with a red, green-red, so you can stock up on those if you need. As far as the troop itself, doesn't do too much. It chooses a gem, then creates 3 bomb gems, and destroys in a plus shape, a row and a column. This is pretty bad. There's already so many other things with a plus shape destroy that are better than this, and the only extra thing it's really getting is 3 bomb gems, and bomb gems are pretty underwhelming. Normally, when you're using a plus shape as well, you're aiming for a particular cascade, and those bomb gems, those 3 bomb gems that it spawns, could get in the way. Like if you're trying to hit like a 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and then get them connected, well, a bomb gem could replace one of those 4, and then you don't get your extra turn anymore. So overall, this is going to be a pretty bad troop that is never going to be used. Nothing in its trait department is really that enticing either. So you're pretty much just going to pick it up to upgrade the kingdom and be good to go. Actually, it is so bad. Did I not even pick up the copy of it yet? I did not. Let me go do that. So you can go just max it out and, of course, do the standard things. So here's everything for the kingdom already, which makes it really easy to go find where on Earth it is, which is kind of convenient. But then, of course, just upgrade it as you normally would every single week. And then we get ourselves, boom, an extra star on Zhul'Kari, which, pretty relevant thing. Zhul'Kari is a magic-based kingdom. So this does bring you one step closer to hitting 10-star, 20-star, stuff like that. If you haven't already, we currently got ours to 21, which I'm pretty sure is the highest you can get it to currently. Let me just double check. Yeah, that's definitely the highest you can get it to. And 10 and 20, you do get an extra magic, so highly advise trying for it if you can. With that being said, of course, the drop table is for event keys, or the drop table is for event keys. The event keys are for Zhul'Kari this week. So as far as Zhul'Kari is concerned, if we go over to everything here, Weaver is in the drop table this time. Unlike last time, there was a big issue where Archdivis or Arc Proxy Evandra was available on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday when that week occurred. So only on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday could you have specifically gotten Arachnaean Weaver that week. However, all of this week, you will be able to get Arachnaean Weaver and Arc Proxy Evandra, most notably Weaver, because this is insanely good for Guild Wars, and guess what? It's a Guild War week, so good time to go pick that up if you don't already have it. Life and Death Weaver is insane, and even if you happen to not have a Life and Death, it's still a very usable option. A lot of good things in this week. I highly advise doing it. Not only is it a magic-based kingdom, so all the progress you're getting is going towards that, but you also have some really, really decent troops. Before I go into the rest of them, though, do keep in mind that the troops you will not be able to get are the 4 Eldrazhor troops. You will not be able to get them in the event key drop table, and I believe that is it. Just double checking. Yeah, those are the only 4. So as far as ones that are pretty relevant, obviously Weaver. If you're opening event keys, is probably the main thing you're hunting for, especially since he technically kind of wasn't in the drop table last time event keys were around. He was, but when most people opened them, he wasn't, so technically wasn't. So good to pick that up. Arc Proxy, still good too if you end up still not having this. Converts all yellows to Uber Doom Skulls. Also, if you still don't have the achievement for getting X amount of Uber Doom Skulls, I think it's like 100, 150, I can't remember, maybe it's only 50. However, if you don't have that achievement, one of the only ways, actually I think the only way actually in the current state of the game, or at least the most convenient way, would be to, because I believe you could technically just keep spamming Zhul'Kari Explore and try getting it off the Evandra there. And try doing it that way. But the most convenient way to currently get the Uber Doom Skull achievement is to simply just have one of these copies. So if you haven't done it yet, just using her for a few battles, you'll probably get the achievement pretty quickly due to the sheer amount of Uber Doom Skulls she ends up creating. Aside from that, we have Web Spinner. Web Spinner is most notorious for being probably the best triple damage troop that isn't Hero. Of course, Hero is normally used for triple damage burning. However, this is used for triple damage everything. It applies web to everything it touches. So if the enemy you touch does not have immune to web, which basically only means impervious, because anything with only immune to web tends to be pretty bad, most of them. So basically everything in the game that doesn't have impervious, for the most part, it'll do triple damage to. And even if they do have impervious, you could do curse, and then you just bypass it and still do triple damage. So yeah, very, very, very strong. It also does it to poison, which these days is kind of less relevant given that it just webs everything it touches. However, if they happen to be immune to web but not immune to poison, you can still do it that way. Other than that, its ability is okay. It can kind of loop a little bit, but normally you're using it for that trait combination, which is the main thing that makes it devastating. Then the fact that it's also summoned off of Weaver, Arachnaean Weaver, at a 75% chance every single time you get a kill on the enemy, which is very strong. Aside from that, there's mostly just some utility troops here and there. Nothing too special. Giant Spider's not really used. Oh, Night Spider kind of is, though. Having higher stats on it isn't really that relevant. Night Spider's used for some really weird pure rogue teams that have some really good loop capability. However, its rarity, or how upgraded you have it, is very irrelevant to how well it'll perform, as it's at max efficiency the second you get even a single copy of it. So yeah, I would definitely say make sure to pick up at least one copy of Web Spinner this week. And if you have the spare keys, definitely try for a Weaver. If you don't have Weaver, especially if you don't have either of these, 100% you should try to leave this week with at least one. If you are low on event keys, don't forget, if you go to the shop menu, then click resources and click over to Spoils of War all the way to the left here. Normally I can't show this because I've already bought it out. However, if you go click on this, boom, you get yourself 10 event keys every single week. This does cost you 180 each, or 1,800 total. However, it is easier than ever to get 1,800 glory to be able to do that every single week, and it is highly advised to do so. It is a pretty nice way to just get a little bit of extra event keys to go into the stack, or just to be able to use if you don't have a surplus of them. Anyways, next up we have our guild-related events, of course, as we mentioned, and we'll be going over every single night on stream, as we always do, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do have Guild Wars this week, other than consoles, which may have had a bit of an issue, so you might not have Guild Wars, but on PC and mobile seem to be working correctly. Anyways, make sure to set all your defense teams if you haven't already. Make sure to even set your tokens too. Do keep in mind the medals do apply, so right here I have triple cleanse. It's not really mattering right now because no one's actually fighting us for whatever reason, which is weird because I think we're actually like the third one up, or the third section. Oh no, we're actually the fourth section. Okay, that would explain why we're not being attacked as much, but hey, how are we attacked by literally no one? But make sure your defense teams are okay. Most importantly, make sure they're unique. That number right there should say 12,000, and if it does, you'll be getting the max amount of points. Beyond that, it doesn't really matter too much what you have set. Obviously, you do want them to be strong, ideally. However, as long as it says 12,000 there, you yourself will be getting all your amount of points, but you also want to make sure the guilds fighting you also lose some points, ideally, so that you can end up beating them to get the extra 100% EXP bonus and the little bit extra seals. If you actually max out your seals, this is normally something I don't mention, but I might as well mention here. But if you max out your seals in a given week, like on this Monday, before tomorrow hits, so if I get another 1,200 or so seals, the extra seals that you get will actually bypass your total. So, for example, if I was to go and win Guild War today, and we log in tomorrow, and then claim the 50 seals, it'll count towards my total if I didn't already max this out. However, if I already have 2,000, that 50 will not count towards the total because I already have the total, and it will simply give me the 50, basically meaning you get 2.5 extra seal keys or 2.5 extra gem keys, depending on how you look at it, simply for having already hit 2,000. So it is highly advised to do that if you're looking to penny pinch every resource within the game. I normally don't bother with that too much, but if you want to min-max every single resource gain, you do on a Guild War week normally want to hit 2,000 seals either on Monday or before you claim the seals on Wednesday from the Tuesday win. So do be mindful of that if you want to maximize that little bit of extra loot. Anyways, aside from that, we have the other guild event, of course, the pretty straightforward ward event. Unfortunately, we do only have spell damage. I do actually show a skull spam team here just because it's a very fun one that I just had to show. However, we do only have spell damage increase, which is a little unfortunate. This would have been a really fun one to have both skull and spell damage increase, but it is only the one. As far as room order, it is very straightforward. Just don't take Giant Spider. As long as you're not taking Giant Spider, you're taking the correct room. Just take Rarity Order and don't take Giant Spider. Very straightforward as far as rooms, which is always great to see. Aside from that, we do have a few things going on this week. Of course, today we have the Eldrazhor faction. Overall, it's an okay one. A little bit of a weird gimmick to end up winning it too for pure faction. Wednesday we have the Zhul'Kari pet, the little spider. Thursday we have ourselves the Orbweaver class event, which is pretty useful. Orbweaver class is actually used for Guild Wars, and if I'm not mistaken, you could actually technically max it before the relevant Guild War day. Or I said it for my defend over there, so I guess for me it does. I'm actually not sure offensively. I don't think I do use offensively, so never mind. But, you know, you can still have it upgraded for during a Guild War week, because that's pretty much the only thing Orbweaver is really used for, is for Guild Wars. So if you don't already have it maxed and you want to get a little bit more progress on it, or just completely max it out, though it does cost quite a bit of gems, you can do so this week, so you have access to that. And this Friday, most notably, we have a Vault event this weekend, so of course Vault event's best time to be farming in Gems of War. Highly advised to do so if you have the spare time. They'll be going from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and will end at Monday reset time. If you have the time, definitely make sure to go grind it, as this is the best rate you'll ever be able to get for resources within the game. And you'll be able to stock up on gem keys, gems, and other various valuable resources, including glory and event keys, all that good stuff. Anyways, let's go now into the Soulforge. So as far as the Soulforge is concerned, I believe this is the first time Fairy Godmother has actually been available to free-to-play. So if you haven't gotten this from, what is this, 2 seasons ago? 1 season ago? I think it wasn't it actually last season? Yeah, it might have been last season. So this is the first time Fairy Godmother, I believe, has been available easily for free-to-play. It actually has been available for free-to-play for a couple weeks now. However, you would have to have gotten it in the random drop table. And the chance that you would have gotten in the random drop table as a free-to-play player is very exceedingly unlikely, or anyone for that matter, just because of how low chance it would be that you would specifically hit Fairy Godmother. However, now you can craft her for 4,000 diamonds, so if you've been hoarding some diamonds, highly advised to do so. She's a really good mana accumulating option. A very gimmicky one. I do not advise using it in PvP nor Guild Wars. Do not try using it in Guild Wars. I highly advise. I will save you the 2-3 win-loss right now. Just do not try using her in Guild Wars. But she's really good for non-human composed teams. So like Explore 12, factions, stuff like that. But as far as what it does, is she's basically the wish gem option. If you want to use wish gems, you basically have to use her. She gains an extra turn, so automatic extra turn, as does every goblin. However, on top of that, she also gets to do one of the following. She gets to create 2 to 3 wish gems, which is pretty much guaranteed that you're going to get full mana for your team. Deals damage to all enemies, which is pretty much the standard AoE, pretty underwhelming. At least for her anyways. And boosted by wish gem, so she does get a little bit extra damage, but it's a pretty standard AoE, especially for the mana cost. It's not anything special there. Or it'll give a bunch of life to all other allies. Again, nothing too special, but that durability could be okay in some instances. It's also boosted by the life by the same way that the AoE damages. So let's say, for example, 3 wish gems are on the board. It would then do 50 damage to all enemies or 50 heal to all allies. However, what you're really looking for is that 1 in 3 wish gems, and more importantly, more often than not, the 50% chance to convert a yellow gem to a wish gem at the start of its turn. So every single turn that goes by, you will have 50% chance of a wish gem appearing onto the board. You generally want to go and destroy this wish gem as quickly as possible, if not immediately. This will give you a lot of mana. As far as what wish gems do, for any of you that don't know, when you destroy a wish gem, it'll do 1 of 5 things. It'll give either 1, 2, 3, or 4 of your troops full mana. Not partial, just literally full. If they have a 32 mana cost like Zhul'Kari, it'll be the entire 32. However, there is a 5th thing that it can do, and that is give all of your allies full mana while also giving all your enemies full mana. So there's a 1 in 5 chance, because I believe they are weighted evenly. So there is a 1 in 5 chance that you will end up giving your entire enemy team full mana. And if you're doing like a 2 to 3 wish gem combined with the one that you got on the turn, so like 4 wish gems, the chance that you're going to hit that 20% chance to give the enemy full mana is exceedingly high. So if you're in a battle where the enemy would benefit a lot by having full mana, like they have an infinite loop that will instantly destroy you if they even attempt to get full mana, you probably don't want to be using this. So like PvP, Guild Wars, stuff like that, generally not locations you want to use, as she's exceedingly high risk, high reward, but even more so in those situations. This is more so in Explore 12 if you want to use her as one of your mana accumulators. You can use it for factions when you're restricted in a way where you want to use this as your mana accumulator. I personally prefer like Thrall, Leprechaun, and stuff like that, but there are some instances where this can definitely come through. It's obviously most noteworthy with really high mana cost troops, so generally mythics. So anything that has like a 24 or higher mana cost, particularly like the 30 pluses like Zhul'Kari, Orbweaver, stuff like that, can be some pretty good synergy options. Even Lord of Slaughter and stuff like that can be decent. Though at that point, you might as well use the one that targets full mana to give him the buff for all the stats. But anyways, she's a pretty good option. I highly advise getting her if you weren't able to at any point in the past. Oddly enough, Arachnaean Weaver is also in Soulforge. I wouldn't advise getting it this way. However, it is in Soulforge if you want to. I would probably say Godmother, even though I feel like I use Weaver more, due to the fact that it is an event key drop table, I would say probably just go for Godmother. But Arachnaean Weaver is definitely really high up there, especially in a Guild War context, for being a very good troop. I don't feel like I use it much outside of Guild War context, but pretty much every true damage team, or every this team does not want to lose option, tends to use this due to how absurdly good it is with Impervious, Stealthy, the best summon of any troop in the entire game that only summons one thing, as well as 4 times web, making it tied as pretty much the best web option in the game, while also doing true damage that then also explodes like a Gargoltha if it gets a kill. It does a lot of things. It is a lot of value, especially when all of them work properly. But anyways, it's either that or gosh, I keep forgetting her name. The Fairy Godmother, or like the main 2 that you would want to seek out. As far as weapons, nothing too special this week. Everything's pretty skippable unless you want like one of the double mana accumulating weapons just for the sake of having an option. Like I believe Book of Brambles ends up doing it for... Oh no, this was the one for Elf. So this I believe was actually the most viable of them due to the 50% mana star. It is like a green-purple. You can kind of do it into like an Elf synergy. Normally not really used because you're likely using Life and Death in most Elf synergies. Mostly because most Elf synergies get synergized with Weaver, and Arachnaean Weaver is kind of like that combo. But if you don't have Life and Death, I guess you could kind of try using this as some kind of alternative with a team like that. One other thing, I guess, is if you do want to get a Doomed weapon, Doomed Ram is definitely way better than Doomed Potions. The ones that give life like this, well, we had one last week, I believe, as well. They're just completely pointless. They're not really worth getting. However, something like Doomed Ram, while this isn't really a weapon I would necessarily advise upgrading, I would say it is the 3rd best tier of Doom weapons, which is pretty low given how rarely you're going to be upgrading Doom weapons. Highest priority are the AoE ones that do Doom Skull Convert, which this one is not. The second best are generally the books that you see in like every battle during Guild Wars, or at least at higher brackets. Those you tend to not use too much outside of Guild Wars. However, they are pretty much the meta for Guild Wars in most situations, unless you want to be creative and build around something else. And aside from that, not Wednesday, but the 3rd best one is the hammers. So all the hammer-like ones. This one's specifically called Doomed Ram, but all the hammer-like ones that have heavy splash. These are not horrible. The main reason they're not really used is because it's so hard to actually, upgrade enough weapons, and the other 2 just have way higher priority, so very few people actually have the hammers upgraded, but the upgraded hammers definitely aren't bad. You might even occasionally see them in Guild Wars and stuff like that. I believe they even have like a weird mana drain or something to them, so they kind of have like a similar kind of effect, but they also have like the explode and stuff like that. They don't have as much loop potential, which is why they're generally not used though, and that lack of loop potential is a pretty big detriment to them compared to like books, so you're not really using it Guild Wars, but it is a bit better offensively, I feel, because you don't necessarily need to worry about it, because offensively, this thing doesn't get punished as much from not being up against a pure color team. It can be used pretty much against everything and still have relatively similar effectiveness for the most part. Anyways, as far as other things, let's go over a few teams for the week. Oh gosh, there's already a billion Weavers here. Everyone got their Weaver. Anyways, so as far as some teams, let's start from the top. So as far as the World event, I'm going to be running with a basically AoE option. Obviously, we have extra spell damage. Hey, we actually finally get to use the Taurus. This is a pretty bad mythic, however, he finally gets to do something. He's one of the only few AoE options we have for this event. If you need something super cheap, you can just go through the whole thing with War and Peace, and that's probably fine. However, he's a really good secondary attacker here. You could even put the Queen Aurora in front of it if you want a little bit more loopability. I think for the later battles, that'll be more relevant. For earlier battles, I actually found it better to have the Taurus in front of it. Of course, this is giving Mana Link to give a bunch of extra mana to everything when you take mana from the board, and this will mostly just help getting spammed. It also gives a bunch of life, which is useful because this thing actually boost ratios off that life for additional damage. So let's say we're getting like 40 additional life, that will then end up converting over to 10 additional damage to his damage output, so we'll do 10 extra damage to all enemies, and on top of the spell increase, that'll be even more than 10, so overall, not too bad. One of the few instances where he's not completely useless, and right here we kind of just have the rabbit for a little bit of immunity, while also giving us a bunch of yellow mana, which of course is very much needed for what we currently have as our main components of our team. Aside from that, I did have to go the scroll spam route. Do be mindful you do not get extra skull damage from the special token or the special medal from this event. However, I couldn't not show a Black Beast team. So Black Beast can target allied stealthies, by the way, so even though this does have stealthy, you're allowed to target it. Allies with stealthy you can target. But anyways, this Black Beast, the main premise with him is he gains infinite stats. So you go and kill your Spirit Fox out. You then go resummon off of Kobold Wand or any kind of explodey mana like that. You have half mana star off of everything off of Forest Guardian. And then you just kind of keep spamming that over and over again. And if you don't have Forest Guardian, that's fine. You can just do another mana accumulator and just go all in on any kind of resummoning weapon that does mana accumulation. And then just keep killing it out with Black Beast. And you'll eventually have a Black Beast that just demolishes everything, which is really fun. I wish we had extra skull damage because this team would actually be a lot more viable. You can still get away with it. But if you need an alternative cheap team, just build completely around War and Peace. just with lower rarity options, and you'll probably be fine. Because War and Peace is all you really need is your damage. But Black Beast is a lot of fun to use. And I highly advise trying it if you don't have some of the better options. Because even without the extra skull damage, it's still going to be pretty devastating what it can end up doing. Anyways, next up we have pretty much standard Riskia Shield Robain that you can run through the entirety of any faction. And with a green-purple restriction is usable for the faction that we have going on today. If you need something for the higher end, you could just use for a pretty standard Zhul'Kari team. However you want to end up structuring it. But you do have access to purple and green, so you can build it in a couple different ways depending on what you're looking for. And this is a little bit of a weird pure faction. This is one of a few pure factions where it's actually relevant to kill out one of your troops. In this particular instance, you actually want to kill out the Deep's Huntsman. The reason for this is similar to, oh gosh, I forget its name. I know exactly where it is. I just completely forget what it's called. It has a very similar mechanic to Primal Rift. So the Primal Rift faction has a troop in the last one that has a summon. This guy right over here, the Alderfather. So generally how you build for this other faction is you run 4 Alderfather, 3 with something in first slot, and then you get a Trent in first slot because there's 2 different summons. One is the Green Golem, the other one is Trent. So there's basically technically 5 troops available for the faction, even though you're only allowed to start with 4 of them. This faction that we have today is the exact same. So the one we have today is Eldrazhor, and the way that Eldrazhor works is the same premise, where the Deep Huntsman, well, we can go check it off the team right over here. So the Deep Huntsman has a very similar mechanic where, that's not the right one. The Deep Huntsman has a mechanic where 100% of the time, it will end up becoming a Tome Spider. You're not allowed to start with a Tome Spider on your team because it's not part of the faction. However, what you can do is have your first Deep Huntsman deliberately die, ideally in the first battle, though you could do it at any point. Have your Deep Huntsman deliberately die, and then your team now becomes a Tome Spider, a Deep Huntsman, and double Matron. And it's actually not that bad, Tome Spider. In a normal context, you'd probably almost never use it. However, compared to what you have in the faction, it's not that bad. He ends up doing Hunter's Mark. He deals doubles to web. He webs and places a Hunter's Mark on the first enemy. So he can actually hit for 4 times damage between that, which is actually not that bad, especially because you already have someone else who's going to be webbing and cursing. So even if they have immune to it, like an Impervious, you can still get Curse, Web, and Hunter's Mark on them. So you're going to be hitting for anywhere from 2 times to 4 times damage off your first slot Tome Spider. You're not allowed to start with it, but that will essentially be what your first slot will be for the faction. And then boom, you're just killing everything out with that. You have your mana accumulator behind it, because don't kill your second one out. If he happens to die in the final battle, that's fine. However, you want to keep him alive going into the final battle so that your team is Tome Spider, Deep Huntsman, Matron, double by the time you reach the final battle. And Matron's mostly just here to poke some damage. He's also just here to kind of do his web curse. For the most part, it's actually Tome Spider who is your main primary damage source, which is kind of funny, but it's normally the way that this faction pans out. Just make sure not to start with it. You have to specifically kill out your first Deep Huntsman so that it becomes a Tome Spider, and then that essentially becomes your team. So kind of funny that the one that you don't start with is actually your main component, but it's the same way that the other faction ends up running, where Trent is basically your main component of your team. In this case, this ends up becoming your Tome Spider, which is a bit of a weird mechanic. Only 2 factions are like that, Primal Rift and Eldrazhor. But it's definitely a mechanic worth mentioning, as is pretty much the easiest way to end up winning out the faction. And aside from that, we have Orbweaver class this Thursday. Definitely make sure to pick up your free amount of battles, especially if you haven't gotten the XP for it. It is a hero class, is also worth considering maxing, though, of course, it does cost a lot of gems, so maybe worth just going for the free battles. However, similarly, we can just run War and Peace for this, end up getting a lot of mana into it, get a bunch of green mana accumulation off Empower, and you're pretty much good to go. Dark Maidens are just kind of here to feed extra green, so you can get your main spam up. You could put in like another AoE option here if you really want to. However, this is where I ended up going, and just pretty much similar to the other team. You could also run this technically, or something similar, not exactly this, I don't think. But you can run something, because you can't run non-green, but you could run something like premise-wise somewhat similar for the World event as well, where the whole thing is just based around War and Peace, with a bunch of cheaper options. Not this exact team, but similar premises can be used. Anyways, that's everything for this week. If you guys still have any other questions, feel free to leave in the comment section below. As I mentioned, every single night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we always do. Hey, at least those are normally on time. But I will be doing the Guild War event every single day. So today I believe we had purple, and of course we'll cycle through each one of them, and we'll be messing around with that, and all the normal stuff that we normally do on stream. So feel free to stop by, and we do them all here in the channel, as you guys probably see. Anyways, guys, I will catch you guys later. Thank you so much for stopping by, and for the 6 years of support, greatly appreciated. And of course, we'll keep continuing to cover these, even if they're not posted in the most timely of manner. I'll still keep getting them up. Sorry about that. Sometimes my Mondays just don't go the way they should be. And sometimes the video gets posted on Tuesday instead of Monday. I try to get them out on Monday when I can, but doesn't always happen. But we always make sure to get them out. And thank you everyone for dealing with the slight inconsistency sometimes. But anyways, guys, I'll catch you later. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye, everyone. Enjoy your week.